What's going on, guys? After making that truck cap video, I got a little motivated to put together another quick video, again oriented towards the tradesman who is looking to create a much more efficient setup, not only for the short term but for ideally a lifetime of high quality productive craftsmanship. So what I'm going to talk about today is my everyday kit, my everyday bag. Outside of what I carry in my pockets, this is the first bag I grab regardless of what job I go on. It gets directly paired up with my EDC backpack, which is a Maxpedition Falcon. That bag has a few tools, but it's mostly personal stuff, lunch, water, first aid, but it absolutely is paired up with this bag. So I've gone through, if you look back at my channel over the years, probably, I don't know, 10 iterations of this particular bag. I haven't shown all of them, but I've gone with tool backpacks, including the original one from Milwaukee. I've gone with custom wooden setups. I've gone with different variations on soft bags. I've gone with Milwaukee packouts, sort of more hard style case. I've gone with Festool sustainers, and a bunch of other custom solutions that all generally worked. But basically my workflow changes all the time, and I'm constantly trying to improve things at a very low cost. Never trying to reinvent the wheel, but sometimes I know that a certain setup could be better. So I had a bag that was a very similar size. It was more long and less deep. It worked pretty well. It wasn't quite deep enough this way, and it constantly tipped over. It was just a little top heavy and not quite square enough. This bag, which is a DeWalt bag, I got it on Amazon. It's, I think, like an electrician's bag. I'm going to use my extra light once in a while just to try and show some details, but it casts weird shadows, so I'm not going to use it the whole time. But yeah, this is, I think, like, well, you know what? I'm going to leave that in the video. I don't edit. This is all one take, so we're just going to keep rolling. So anyways, that is from Amazon, and I basically just saw it and thought it looked perfect for what I was looking for. I basically knew exactly what I wanted. So this was, I think, around 50 or 60 bucks, and it has been basically perfect, which is why I'm taking the effort and time to shoot a video on it. So I've also included on the bottom, which I'll take off and show, a DeWalt tough case. This is the medium tough case. I'll go through what's in here as well, but it just clicks onto the sides of the bottom of that. It's designed for it. You definitely could do this setup without it, but I think it adds a lot of value, and it's like $6 or $7. So this whole bag setup is probably around 60, 70 bucks. I also have a small Maxpedition pouch on the side here, which I've just added on with a little custom rigging. If anyone's interested, I can describe that in more detail, but I don't want to get too bogged down in the specifics of exactly how this got put together. But I do want to show you what's in the bag, and talk about some of the reasons I chose it over some more expensive options. It has, on the back, just to show, it has a zippered pouch, and it has a padded area where it rides against your hip using the strap. This, I believe, was the strap that came with it. It's pretty good quality. It had a pad. I took the pad off, and I'll explain some of the reasons this bag has been customized by me to do certain things. Probably the number one reason, again, I have this versus like a Milwaukee Packout or a Vito Pro Packs bag, even though they have a lot of similarities. One is the price. It's like a third of the price, if not less. Two is the weight. It's as much as I would have been happy with a Vito bag, just knowing I was getting great quality and supporting a pretty cool company. I can't start with an empty bag that weighs like 7, 8, 9, 10 pounds. Some of the Milwaukee Packout bags weigh like 10 or 11 pounds empty. That's absolutely outrageous, to be honest. If you're carrying your bag, especially if it's supposed to be for quick stuff, and you're constantly moving it around, a bag that weighs under, let's say, 2 pounds is kind of a non-starter for me. So this bag weighs under 2 pounds empty, and totally full as it is now, including the bottom kit. It's like around 15 and a half pounds, which feels like a good kind of max weight for it. It's full, but not so full that it's not super useful. I'll kind of show you how that looks. It has a small grab handle, which is actually perfect. Again, somewhat minimal, but it works just fine for what it needs to do. And I've added a small plastic bin here. You can put a belt through this loop in the middle here. And what I've done is just put a small piece of plywood in there and put a screw through it. Now I have a perfect tape holder. So my backup secondary tape is always really easily available. So let me just go through the bag, and as I pull stuff out, I'll give you a little insight into why I did what I did. I'm primarily a carpenter. I do a lot of installation work. I do custom high-end work. I do framing. I do repairs and everything kind of in between. I'm generally mobile, but I also work in a shop from time to time. Sometimes I'll spend 2-3 weeks in a shop. So this lives on my shop bench, or one of my benches just sitting there, and it supplements my work belt, my apron, my vest, whatever. So it's always a big part of my kit. So let's start actually in the back. So again, it has a nice simple strap, it has a pocket. Back here I have just a little hard pad and a fold out carpeted pad. I use that just to protect the floor. When I'm working on something in a client's house, particularly with high-end work, you want to always make it very clear that you care about their home and their property, and that you're willing to go the extra mile to take care of their home. So flooring protection is a big part of my workflow. And also, speaking of flooring protection on the bottom here, again, I'll probably dump everything out of the bag, so I really want to avoid that, but on the bottom of here, actually, it's just plastic, but on the bottom of this, I've actually put felt pads. So once it goes down, it just has felt pads, so it's again protecting surfaces. So that's the back. Again, handle. On the side here, I have a magnetizer, small pry bar. One of my favorite tools, the Knipex mini bolt cutters. Extremely easy to put in here, perfect pocket for it. I usually have another small pry bar here. I have medical shears, pretty much better than any shop scissors I've ever used. Way cheaper. Snap knife, spring-loaded hole punch. And then I have on the tether here, I have some yellow frog tape. Inside that, I have one component of this 2-component mini dustpan. Again, cleanliness is essential for what I'm up to. This also serves other purposes. Right now it has a small thing in there, small piece of sandpaper. And there's a couple things this is useful for. One, dusting surfaces. You can use just a brush, dusting surfaces, and then this can be used obviously as a dust can, but also as a little garbage can that just sits right here. And thirdly, if I'm on the wall and I'm drilling a hole into the wall, all of the drywall dust falls directly into this bucket. So super useful and extremely light weight dust collection. Moving on, we have, again, the tape. Simple torpedo level, 9-inch torpedo level. I have my driver kit. So this is from countycom.com. They do like government overflow. So this is like a large hardcore Altoids can. It's taped just to make it easier to find, and inside it has a series of driver bits in a glow-in-the-dark packaging. Not that it needs to be glow-in-the-dark, but pretty cool. Then I have also from CountyCom just a little parts mat, nice for putting screws and stuff. Again, you put it on a porcelain countertop, someone's countertop, and it shows you care about their home. Super slim. Then the heart of my driver system is Milwaukee installation driver. I have all the heads for this. I usually keep the driver head on it because I always have a drill. But I also in here have another head, which I'll show you in a minute. So Milwaukee installation driver with a 2.5 battery. Also with the 2.5 battery is the fuel drill. Just an excellent all-around small drill driver combo. Inside the bag I have very little, but stuff I rarely use. So I have tiny drivers. These are, for small little installation fasteners. Barely use it, but when I need it, it's invaluable. Right angle head, which goes on the installation driver. So you pop this head off and you get a right angle head. So I have a drill, a driver, basically 2 drills, and a right angle drill all included in this small kit. And those M12 fuels are way more powerful than you'd expect. They're probably as good as 18-volt tools were, 6-7 years ago. So they're really, really capable. But honestly, the kind of work I do, this is more power than I ever need most part. Side pocket here, I have some CA glue. I've just taped the top so it's easier to find. Pretty much every pocket has its own thing. A Craig driver for Craig screws doesn't really fit well anywhere, so I have a little spot for it. I have some shims in here, just a few. Nipper nail puller. I have some pens and markers in here, some pencils. I don't need to take that out. I have a tiny wrench here. Again, not particularly useful for a ton of stuff, but between this and what I carry in my pocket, the mini Knipex pliers, I can actually do a decent amount of wrenching and plying on small stuff. So again, for 4 ounces, it's well worth its weight in gold. I would keep one of the Knipex pliers in here too if I didn't always have them in my pocket. That's how much I like them. I have another piece of organization / flooring protection. This is like a large, or not large, it's only like 20 inches, but it's just like a little parachute bag. You can lay it on a work surface, organize your tools, parts, pieces, and then when you're done, if you want to travel somewhere else in the house, you just pull it out and it holds your stuff. I honestly am not sure if this is going to stay in my kit, but it was relatively cheap and seemed quite useful. But to be honest with you, I haven't really used it much, so that might get knocked out of the kit. But it's super light, really small, and again, it's a demonstration that you care about your organization and also about your client's property. So we're going to go on to this side of the bag. Again, tape. It does have a clip in the front for a tape. Sometimes my tape doesn't have a clip, and it honestly makes the bag quite a bit deeper this way, so I like riding it up high, easier to get to, out of the way. And in here I have a magnetic stud finder and a deep hole marker, a Pica pen for marking deep into holes. So those ride together. And then I've had this thing for years. It holds more bits. It's also an extension, and it is a long and medium length screwdriver from Vera, German tool company, excellent tool. And I have in this little pocket, I don't really want to pull it out, but there is a, maybe it'll come out and see, a plastic sleeve. No, it's really jammed in there. Let's see, it's a plastic sleeve. That little plastic piece, it looks like a heavy duty tube, which also from County Com for like $1. I've modified it to hold a basic buck chisel. Not one of my nicest chisels, but it stays sharp and it works well enough. And I always have a nice scraping, prying, and chiseling tool in here. A couple zip ties. And then again, I have the bag on the side. You could easily not include this, but it takes up very little space. It's very light. I just have I have my work gloves in here. So again, general PPE. You can fit a water bottle in there. You can fit a tube of caulk. You can fit a caulk gun. Just quite useful. And it's just on there with a strap that comes with it, one of the MOLLE attachments. And if you want to, I actually have it set up so you can fold it up, and I have an elastic there so you can just clip it out of the way if you didn't want it hanging down. But I've had it down here and it's completely out of the way. Makes it a nice spot to put some gloves, so I like it. Even on the bottom of that, I've super glued a little rubber bumper, like a cabinet bumper, so the metal grommet on the bottom doesn't scrape on the floor. So again, these are all small things, but not having to worry about scraping someone's brand new floors or countertops or furniture top is a big peace of mind. So that is almost entirely what's in the bag. What I'm going to do is basically just load it up while I'm finishing up the video, but hopefully it gives you guys some ideas. And I just want to really reiterate, and again, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments, how important having a bag is that is not super heavy. I see some of these bags, and the idea of having like a 30+ pound first grab bag is absolutely wild to me. You get one of those big like Milwaukee Packout backpacks, and that thing's gonna weigh 30, 35, 40 pounds before you know it. Also, walking through a house with a backpack, you're much more likely to turn and like knock into a door. You have to take it off your back to open it up, and then the thing is hard to move when it's open. So I got nothing against backpacks, but I've used them, and Honestly, the size doesn't really work, but again, much more importantly is the weight. Obviously, it's empty now, but like I said, I am going to load it back up, but I did forget to show you the last thing, which is this small accessory box. Clips onto the bottom. This thing probably weighs about 1.5 pounds, but again, it has a bunch of useful stuff. A couple cabinet bumpers, some lead, a couple shims, and some more drill bits in there. Then I have a full set of drill bits that's just based off of Milwaukee drill caddy, which I've just cut the heck out of to make it fit. Just buzzed off as much as I needed to make it fit into the space, which is basically everything. But it works fine. I have mini socket set with a 1/4 inch shank, hex shank, and a driver head. So I got a little bit of socket action. I have a new top for some glue and some glue extensions. I got some playing cards for shims, and I have another glow in the dark box, again, County Com. Got some playing cards for shims back in there, and in this box, I'll just let you guys take a look, but it is really my main go-to bits for installation and sort of my daily use stuff. So I have a nice quality step bit for metal. I've got 2 different, recess bits, what are they called? The flush, I'm forgetting the right word, but you guys know what I'm talking about. And then I have a Bix bit as well for drilling holes, hinges, etc., installations, and just a few screws. There's really not much in here. Again, this is not my only kit. Really, the whole point of this, like I keep saying over and over, is light and mobile. Easy to get to, light, mobile. You're always happy to grab it. Sits on the shoulder really easily. Easy to handle in hand. And then once you have it set up, it's extremely nice to work out of. So let's see. Get it in the right spot, and then these little plastic clips to clip on, and then it's clipped on at the bottom. The nice thing here is it makes it even more bottom heavy, which allows the bag to be even less prone to tipping. So just a really overall great design, great integration. It's not as clever as Packout as far as snapping into place and being quick, but again, the trade-offs in cost and weight are, again, this thing could cost as much as 250 bucks like the Packout one does, and I'd still choose this one. So I'm gonna pack this up. Any questions, guys? Comments are always open. Appreciate you spending the time here checking this out. And let me know what kind of stuff you guys use for your daily carry, what kind of bag you work out of, and then let me know what you guys think about the weight argument I'm making. Is that something that just doesn't matter to you guys? You can call me a wuss or whatever, tell me I need to buck up and bear more weight, but I'll just let you know that I'm not a small guy. I carry plenty of weight all day. The idea of adding more and more weight that I just don't need, it's wasteful, and it's not a great long-term strategy to staying healthy in the trade. So just some food for thought. Again, this little thing, put it on the ground, let your driver on top of it, you get the idea. So that is it. All right, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Have a good one.